guys, it's Brandon Giles. Today we're going to talk about one of the most common causes of a lot of normal aches, pain, and injuries that we kind of go through as we age through life. What I'm talking about is the pelvic position. A lot of times, the main cause of a lot of lower back injuries, where you feel like you may have a tight hamstring or you're having knee pain, is coming from mostly an anterior pelvic tilt. What that means is your pelvis is rotated down in the front, which is going to mean basically you have tight hip flexors. And what that does is, as those hip flexors are pulling down, it's crunching and pinching on your lower back while also creating the sensation that your hamstrings are being pulled on. So that doesn't necessarily mean you have tight hamstrings, it means you have tight hip flexors. While a lot of people, they say my hamstrings are tight, they'll stretch out their hamstrings while their pelvis is in this position and they're lengthening their hamstrings more and more. That's going to cause, a lot of those hamstring pulls and injuries and knee injuries that you have in a lot of sports athletes. Now, the other side of it is the posterior pelvic tilt, where your pelvis is rotated too far up in the front. Now, what this means is that you really do have tight hamstrings, and your hamstrings are pulling your pelvis up like that. So you don't necessarily have tight hip flexors, but in this situation, if your pelvis is rotated more up in the front, you do want to stretch your hamstrings out to kind of even it out and put yourself in a neutral pelvic position where neither side is pulling and everything is neutral and you're not risking yourself for injury. So the easiest and most convenient way to fix an anterior pelvic tilt is essentially going into the split kneeling position, just like this, and then making sure you basically engage your glute to rotate your pelvis up in the front. You don't want to just sit here and stick your butt back like that, because what that does is it's crunching down on your hip flexors and you're not actually getting any kind of stretch. So before you do any kind of leaning or elevating your foot back or things you may have seen somewhere else, always make sure that your glute is engaged and you're actively forcing yourself to rotate up in the front like that. And even without doing any kind of movements, you're stretching this part of the hip flexor, which is going to help alleviate that hamstring pain and help you also strengthen your glutes. From then on, if you feel like you need more, you can go ahead and maybe lean forward into it or elevate your foot and do whatever kind of other things that you may want to do. Now, if you have a posterior pelvic tilt, which means you do have tight hamstrings, you can use the exact same position to lengthen it out. So the only difference is you're going to have this foot straight, but you do still want to keep this knee underneath this hip. You don't want to sit your hips back like that. You're not really stretching your hamstrings like that. It's just kind of a wasted movement. I don't know where that came from, honestly. But once this is nice and lined up, keep your toes up in the front. Now from here, what you want to do is you do want to rotate your pelvis. Ooh, almost lost balance. Rotate your pelvis in the back like that, and what you'll feel is you'll already start feeling a stretch in here. And then from there, you can lean from your hips, not from your shoulders, rounding like that. Keep it nice and straight, lean from your hips, and you'll feel the pull in your hamstring, which is what you want to feel to kind of help even out your pelvis. You don't have to go that far. You kind of only want to go as you feel comfortable. But as you can see, as I'm going down, this left hip isn't moving. It's staying nice and locked in place. And I'm just hinging from here to feel the stretch down there. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. And if you have any questions or requests, make sure you leave them in the comments so that I can continue to make content that will bring out your ultra instinct.